your employer is required by law to provide training to everybody in the workplace on workplace sexual harassment and discrimination. But the difficulty that some employers have is that they are not given a manual on how to do this. And so if they don't have their own personal training on this, they themselves might not recognize discrimination happening in the workplace. And so, the things that are tougher to tease out are the real life cases, because people are complex. It's not like the textbook cases you talk about in training programs. You might be somebody who gets in trouble from time to time. You might have a few warnings in your personnel file. That doesn't mean that you deserve the discrimination or that they somehow cancel each other out. Employers have to be able to tease that apart. The other thing is that employers also have to remember that sexual harassment isn't necessarily overtly sexual. It might actually have to do with the fact that you are of a certain sex or gender. So I want to give you an example of a famous case out of the US. A woman worked at a casino warehouse, male dominated, pretty rough and tumble. You hear a lot of curse words, maybe a little bit of, rough housing, but she was treated totally differently from her male colleagues. If she was late to work, she got in trouble, whereas her male colleagues got overtime to make up for their lost wages. If she's called an effing cunt, she gets in trouble, not the guy who called her that, because she provoked him. And she was ultimately fired because she was assaulted in the elevator. Yes, she was assaulted, but she got fired because she had a longer track record. And the male colleague who actually bruised her only got a 5-day suspension. And, it might sound obvious that this is a case of discrimination the way I'm describing it, but you have to remember that this was an established, pretty large employer that had multiple levels of management, and they perceived her as just being a difficult woman in the workplace. So narratives matter, stories matter, facts matter, and that's why these training programs in the workplace really have to be done right. And if you, keep a gut check on things, because if you feel like things aren't right and you're being treated differently, you can actually get some free legal advice from your jurisdiction's Human Rights Commission. They usually have a legal resources center attached.